Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the Praesidus A-11 Type 44, the patina version in 38 millimeters. This watch retails for $595 on the Praesidus website. Now, quick disclaimer, Praesidus did send me this watch in for review. I don't have to send it back. And I've really enjoyed my time with this watch so far, but I will tell you guys what I truly experienced in terms of the wearing experience, in terms of pros and cons, and the value for money of this timepiece. Now, Praesidus Watch Company, they're an interesting one. They aim to tell the stories and honor the heroic efforts of soldiers from the past. And they do this by releasing watch designs that were inspired by the exact watches worn by soldiers from World War II all the way through the Vietnam War era. The watch brand is veteran-backed, and 5% of the proceeds of the sales of these watches actually goes to partner veteran organizations. Now, we're taking a look at the 38 millimeter version, but this watch is also available in 32 millimeters, which is actually true to the size of the original A-11 Type 44 worn by soldiers in World War II. There are 3 strap options that you can choose from a leather and a canvas strap to this bond clip bracelet that I have here. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Now, the bond clip style is very unique. We'll touch on that a little bit later on. But the dimensions of this watch are obviously 38 millimeters in diameter, 13 millimeters thick, with a very prominent domed acrylic crystal with AR coating, 45 millimeters lug to lug, 20 millimeters lug width. The watch is entirely constructed of stainless steel, which is polished throughout. Now, inside the watch contains a Swiss Soprod P024 manual wind movement. This is essentially the Soprod movement with the rotor removed, so that the watch can be manual wind, which is more true to the original A-11. This watch beats at 4 Hertz and has a power reserve of 38 hours. Now, this watch is actually 100 meter water resist. It doesn't have a screw down crown, but that extra water resistance does give you some added reassurance. And this is one of, I believe, 2 or 3 watches that actually has a Swiss movement, whereas some of the other watches either run a NH35 movement by Seiko or like an AmeriQuartz movement. Now, this watch is very closely based on the 1944 Waltham, which was a field watch worn by soldiers of the World War II era. There's no counterbalance on the seconds hand, which is very true to that original model. There are leaf-shaped A11 spec hands, and I opted for this aged Lume version, which I think really fits well with that sort of era of watch. It looks like a watch that could actually be from that era if you look at it today. But I could really see how the version with the white Lume looks very crisp and clear and modern and legible as well. So I was kind of torn between the 2 options. Now, all of the indexes and the hour and minute hand, the second hand is not lumed, but everything else is lumed with green Super Luminova. It has a decent amount of legibility and brightness to it, but it doesn't last particularly long, but I have found it to be very adequate in low to no light situations. Now, you can see that this is what they call an A11 spec index, where you'll find Arabics at every hour with kind of these smaller Arabics at every 10 minutes on the outer track. The dial itself is sort of this tropic dial. It's slightly browned, giving the impression that it is ever so slightly aged. Now, when you take a look at the case, it is all polished, all around. So it does give it almost kind of a dressy look, surprisingly, for a field watch. And looking at pictures of old A11 Type 44 watches, you can actually see that the vast majority of them actually had this polished finish, which is a very interesting touch. I think the 1940s were a time of great change in the world, but they were still a time of, you had a little bit of that elegance that remained from, bygone decades in the 1920s and 1930s. And speaking of which, you can see that it actually has a fluted style bezel, which is kind of reminiscent of early Datejusts, which I found to be very interesting and really give this watch that 1940s characteristic and give it a touch of dressy elegance to it. Now, what's really interesting about this watch is the bond clip bracelet, which I've never interacted with before. I've never seen this bracelet, let alone use it. It almost kind of looks like a bunch of paper clips put together, but when you have it on wrist, the watch looks very substantial, surprisingly, with how light it is and how airy it is. It's very breathable. It almost looks like kind of a bullet style bracelet, and I'd imagine that this is what a lot of the soldiers would have worn. Now, the bracelet itself is quick release, so it makes it very easy to swap this watch out for different straps. There are a variety of straps that look amazing on this watch, and you can really dress up or dress down this watch based off of the strap that you go with. For example, if you go with a leather strap, it makes this watch look almost elegant, almost like a dress piece of the 1940s. But then if you put it on a NATO strap or a Tropic rubber strap, for example, it just looks rugged. It looks like the field watch that it was born to be. So now let's run through some of the pros and cons. Now, I love how lightweight and easy to wear it is. You barely notice it when you wear it on your wrist. That could be a con for some, but I do like to have a watch sometimes that really kind of disappears on your wrist. The Swiss movement I found to be very accurate to plus or minus 4 to 5 seconds per day. I love the fact that it's 100 meters water resist. Just the fact that I don't really have to worry about it if I'm getting it near water, even if I'm washing the dishes or have to jump in the shower. And I just love how legible it is. I mean, at a glance, you can very quickly see what time it is. I mean, it is a watch designed for soldiers to see very quickly what time it was in life or death situations. Now, what are some of the cons? I think the blue glow, almost rainbowish glow from the AR coating on this acrylic crystal it can be a little distracting at times and really impact the legibility. It's not a huge deal, but in certain lights, you really notice that tint. I would love to see Praesidus release a version with an automatic option. Now, I know that the manual wind is true to the World War II field watch that this is styled after, but it just would make the daily wear experience so much more convenient if you didn't have to worry about constantly winding it every 38 hours, especially on this bond clip bracelet. It's not the easiest bracelet to take off and put back on and wind it. I would also love to see sort of an in-between size between 32 millimeters, which is way too small for most wrists, and this 38 millimeters. How about like a 34 or a 36? Now let's talk about alternatives here, because why do we love field watches? We love field watches because they're rugged, they're no nonsense, highly legible. They remind us of, the past and in a bygone era. Now, the main alternative I can really think of that has a Swiss movement inside, a manual wind Swiss movement, is the Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. Now, that watch retails for $595 for the 38 millimeter model. However, that watch is only 50 meters water resist compared to the 100 meters on the Praesidus. It does have the H50 movement with 80 hours of power reserve. However, they did slow down the beat rate to 3 hertz per second. Whether or not that's a big factor for you, sort of a personal preference, but I do enjoy sort of the smoother sweep of the classic 4 hertz Swiss movement. Now, if you're in the market for a field watch, you're a fan of watches like the Hamilton Khaki, like the Rolex Explorer, I think this is a great option for you, especially if you're looking for something under $1,000 and something that comes with a Swiss movement, 100 meter water resist. It's got some really interesting swag that kind of comes with it. And you're also supporting, veteran organizations with 5% of the sales going to those organizations. I think there's a whole lot of value for money here. And I like the fact that there's an interesting bracelet option. I like the fact that it's a pretty versatile watch, given the fact that it is a field type watch. It's more versatile than watches like the Hamilton Khaki, which just look a little bit more industrial. So let me know what you guys think of this watch. I think it's a great offering in the micro brand space. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thanks as always, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.